Hey guys, you got Crave here, and so I finished the game some time ago, but it took a while for me to get my thoughts together. Darksiders 3 players are divided about what they thought of it, and I felt the same way. So after some time, here's what I thought worked and didn't for Fury's adventure. Fury, as her name implies, is a persona that is quick to anger. She gets impatient and will not hesitate to resolve situations in a quick and decisive manner. Sure, she'll give you some time to reason out, but her personality implies that she won't hesitate to give you a good beating to get her points across. I found that to be exciting, and so far it is consistent with the persona of the Horseman that we've seen so far. This is what I like about the 4. With the exception of the earlier parts of Darksiders 1, the Horsemen are tough, they're combat intelligent, they're strong, and they know it. The thing is, the gameplay hinders the showing off of that personality. Because of the gameplay shift in Darksiders 3, Fury often has to wait around or pick off mobs from packs rather than completely living up to her name. Fury isn't the brooding, heavy-hitting type. If any of the horsemen we've seen fits that, it would have been War, I guess. This is based on his personality and the way he was portrayed in cutscenes. Death, I guess, would have been kind of okay, but his dual scythe play put that out of the window. I just personally found the mismatch to be off-putting. Darksiders 1 and 2 were in great part about being swarmed by waves of enemies, and was even more so the case in Death's journey. There was always the element of weaving and dodging, but not with the frantic need that we see in Darksiders 3. Games 1 and 2 felt like Diablo removing the strict isometric view. You felt like a raging bull that cleaved through standard mobs and pummeled elites with caution. Don't get me wrong, you couldn't be entirely careless on the first 2 games depending on the difficulty setting, but you felt like a horseman of the apocalypse. The armies of heaven, hell, and whatever else realities knew that they had to go ham on you. In addition to the weird camera angle that we see in Darksiders 3, this game feels very different, and I think Gunfire wanted to mix things up. Well, taking risks is necessary to make the series feel fresh, and it works on some occasions. I'll use Assassin's Creed Odyssey as an example. Personally, it just worked. The shift in gameplay breathed new life into the series. It still made it possible to go at it with the assassination playstyle, but allowed other combat styles for other players. Darksiders 3, from my point of view, took it a bit too far. Sure, each kill was personal as the developer intended, and it was satisfying when you could pull it off. But from theme and familiarity standpoints, Fury was far too removed from the first games, and she was also far too removed from the concept of being a horseman of the apocalypse. I really liked the gear aspect in Darksiders 2, and I knew I was going to miss it in Fury's adventure. Thankfully, the Hollow Forms provided enough variety for me to kind of forget that aspect. The Hollow Forms feature in Game 3 was a really good addition to the series. It provided 3 benefits, at least from my point of view: a visual change, a weapon loadout, and a mechanical change depending on the need. It's nice that a simple concept could change up the way the game looked and felt. In my case, I preferred Storm Hollow, but the other forms had their uses, especially in environmental situations. To me, this just makes Fury the most, I would say, equipped horseman to deal with any scenario. I do miss the grappling hook visual component, but she does have her whip to address that. The only thing that this doesn't tackle is the management of the attribute aspect, which I guess agrees with the intention of Gunfire to focus on combat. Death remains my favorite horseman, at least until we see Strife's own story. Horseman Death, his growth came with the understanding about what had to be done and what he had to do at the end of the game. Although game number 3 gave heavy emphasis on gameplay, Fury's development was far more, I would say, powerful than it seemed. The horseman had to deal with her own beliefs, her views on humanity, her persona as the furious rider of the 4, and understanding her own struggles with the concept of sin. The game was I would say a short but contained experience. While it may have felt a bit rushed, it still allowed for the development of the horseman's character. Gunfire intended the combat to be to have a more personal aspect, as I mentioned earlier, and they did the same with Fury's character. Games 1 and 2 had this element, but they did this much better in Part 3. I honestly felt for Fury, especially as she moved closer to the ending of her journey or her story. While she will definitely maintain her angry personality, and I hope that never goes away, I think that she will have a perspective shift, slight or big, on the bigger picture of the apocalypse and her own siblings. To wrap it up, let me put it this way. Darksiders 3 is personally, just ranked number 3 on the list. It's a Darksiders game, and at the same time it's not. It's something you can definitely recommend to someone who's new to the lore, but I think you'd have to be cautious in recommending it to someone who loved the first two games. One more thing is that I hope that Gunfire Games makes enough for us to see Strife in game number 4, and eventually game number 5 to wrap up the story of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Well, you got Crave here, and thanks for watching.